Yeah,
Did it give you all the notification that we're like live? Yes. No.
Yes, sir.
it did.
Cool. I'm very afraid that I didn't set this to private or unlisted. So hold on. Is she unlisted? She is unlisted. Cool. Okay. I was a
Hey,
little
Sam and Zach, if
nervous.
you saw this when it was public,
Hey,
If it's not public, they're doing their final 2 look back currently.
Oh.
So
oh,
they're not watching any videos. Okay. I have to keep the waiting room on because this is the same Zoom that we used. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the Jury Roundtable. This is the first time I'm hosting one of these. So, and Taisha's back just in time.
the queen of the hour.
icon.
Penultimate queen. Oh, queen.
Yes.
I love you so
Yes,
much.
outfit.
Pat,
Yes.
I missed you. I know it's only been like 5-6 days.
I missed y'all so
much.
much. Like, what the heck?
I even get to say bye.
I missed you.
Marcella. Oh my god, this is a cute jury, like for real, very cute.
It is.
Not gonna lie,
Like
hot
it's been
spot.
24 hours. I
You're
missed
very
you.
hot.
I know. It's she was like, what? But it's okay.
All right, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to ask some questions to kind of get conversation started. Once it starts to die down a little bit on the conversation or it's been too long on the same topic, we're going to move on. I do have, it seems like a lot of questions because we're going to talk about each person individually. But I swear it's like maybe 5 questions total, but like you have to ask it twice. So it's like 10. But you're going to be like, oh, that's not a lot to talk about. And then someone's going to say something and you're going to lead into a discussion. So yeah. So just a few things to get us eased into the conversation. I just want a show of hands for this. Who is surprised at the final 2? Raise your hand if you are. All right. Raise your hand if you're here directly because of Sam. Okay, go ahead, put your hands down. And then who is here directly because of Zach?
Not really, but kind of.
Okay. So those are all like the hand raising questions I had. So to start off the jury roundtable, we're gonna start with Sam since she's alphabetically first. Tell me things that Sam did well that got her to the end.
She was at the right place at the right time. There was a lot of moments where, for me specifically, Sam knew what to say. Sam knew what the right words were. You know, I think Sam had a really great social game when she needed to and hid back when she didn't need to. She had someone in her alliance, someone who was more of a target than she was, and she utilized that and she made it so that when Sandy did leave, she was never really mentioned until top 6, and then even after that, not even mentioned.
She was the last one of all of us to get votes.
Exactly. Yeah. So she's right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think Sam was a social queen, like more than strategy, because I know that she was left out. And she said on the live the other night that like she felt like a lot of the game sometimes was happening around her that she like didn't know right away until it like came to the surface. So of strategy and physicality, I think she was super strong socially, like had strong alliances, but also like Marcelo said,
The headphones. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about Sam's game.
I mean, I'll go. Just because like I knew Sam before this game. I knew she was a social player. I knew that she's someone I wanted to work with. But to kind of go piggybacking off of what Marcelo said, I feel like she knew what to say at the right times. And there were definitely points in the game where if she felt like she was threatened or like in a spot where she may have been on the bottom or not know what's going on, she would go to people and like kind of have a conversation that basically helped her and sort of solidified relationships when she needed to at the right times.
Did it ever come off phony to y'all, or did it come off phony after the fact ever?
Yes and no. I feel like Sam was very like it wasn't hard to know who Sam was working with to a certain extent, which I felt like could in a way work against her, but
I think a lot of conversations I've had with Sam were just very genuine, especially like when it with like actual like relationship wise and talking about stuff that like wasn't game related. It seemed very genuine, and I think that's why having conversations with her seemed genuine when it did come time to start talking about game because you already had like that set up talking with her.
Yeah,
I
like
also, oh yeah, go Taisha.
I just feel like Sam was very like present in a lot of areas. Like when it comes to like the social play, Sam, in the most part, was connected with a lot of people. Just like I wasn't as close with Sam until after like Sandy left, to be honest with you. But she was still someone that I felt like I had on my side still. And even when it came to like a lot of the big votes and everything, Sam was a part of those. You know, she knew about them. She was trying to orchestrate them. So she was in the background doing that.
Sam and I had a conversation, I think final five or like final, yeah, I think it was, or maybe final six. I don't even remember when it was, but we talked about this, how her and I were on obviously different sides, but we kind of like met in the middle because we never went after each other. But like her number one, after that live night where Antoinette and Sandy left, we hopped on call and she was like, period. She was like, my number one just went home. And I was like, my number one just went home. So it's like literally like we were like, yeah, our number, like both of our number ones went home. And then she and I kind of like realized that there was like a pyramid of the game, and it was like Sandy and Antoinette were the top of the pyramid, and I was like in the realm of things because y'all were going after each other, but Sam and I were like in the sense Antoinette's person was me, Sandy's person was Sam, and then Zach and Seamus were like around. But once y'all left, Zach and Seamus took over y'all's positions, and Sam was still behind a target, behind someone who wasn't going to like was doing much more than she was, but like in a more we'll get to Zach, but like more of like a way that no one was really focusing on Sam. And then final five, when Sam and I were like, look, let's take this to the end, let's be a final two. And she's like, I'm giving you my word, like we're gonna be a final two. Like, I mean, you break words in this game, obviously, but like I believed Sam when Sam was like, you and I are final two, like let's do this. And I literally like believed Sam. The votes were being read when I was
You're
going
like, I
home.
still believe her. I'm at it.
Yeah.
I still believe her.
Literally. And I was like, why? Because she snaked the hell out of me, but I respect it. So yeah.
She has a way of talking that like again, like I said, like it's very like the relationship not talking game is very genuine. So when it comes to actually talking game, it seems a lot more genuine. You're more inclined to believe her, which I think she does really well because not a lot of people can, like you said, snake people and do it in a respectful way. And I think that's a very hard skill to master. And there's very few people I've met in these games who can do that well.
Yeah. Something like I'm a perfect example. Like I pretty much snake some people in a similar fashion that she did, but she was really good at like curbing the backlash that happened, whereas I just jumped into it and went aflames, you know, where she like tipped around and put out fires here and put out fires there. Like she's really, really good.
Yeah, she just I'm still like shocked that like she did that, but Good for her. I was gonna say something else, but someone else thought.
Wait, so let's move into tell me things that Zach did well that got him here.
I mean, you won a lot of comps, and that's for sure a way to not go home.
I don't really know a lot about Zach. We didn't really talk all that much. Zach and I talked game and maybe twice. Fully did not talk game with me throughout the entire jury phase. Kind of ignored me. And when I was like, "Oh, we should talk," he was like, "Yeah, but I'm coming home from work," and I was like, "Okay." I know he watches Celebrity Big Brother, so that's cool. But I don't really know
What was the
shit.
question? I like it cut out when it cut out when Papa was asking the question.
Oh, it's the same question as Sam. Like, what did Zach do to get here?
Yeah,
Honestly,
got it.
Like, what did he do well? Yeah.
he set himself up with the right people, and I feel like when you do that, it's more so it's hard because the part of the game is social, but you also at the same time, like, he won the comps, but his part he lacked in was some of his social connections, and that's the problem. He won at the right time. Like, Zach was beast. Like, Zach just like beasted all those comps. These last 3 rounds, Zach. He beasted that. He put himself in a good position by doing so, and he was so smart. Like, talking to Zach every night. Zach is so smart. He is so smart. But I hope people can see that too. Him and Sam both like deserve this. They played the fuck out of the game.
See, like, I love them both. I feel like it works really well with the both of them. More so than most of these people on the jury. Like, now that Taisha's here, it's finally like, oh shit, somebody that I worked really closely with finally here. But I think what Zach did really well was he might have not had like the best social connections, but he was socially connected enough and in enough alliances that he had a lot of information. He was in the especially at the start, alliances with me, Sam, and Antoinette. And then he was with me, Taisha, Seamus, and Slade. And like between those groups of people, like he had enough information coming to him where he really didn't have to venture out of that too much, which maybe might be why he didn't really reach out to Marcelo to form that sort of alliance. But that also is working against him now that he's a finalist, because you still need to manage those relationships with people that you're not necessarily working with that closely. Because honestly, there is no reason to not at least talk to somebody from top 10 to top 2. Love you, Zach, but if that happened, you got to explain really why. Because even when I was not, like, I knew I was not on Marcelo's side, I knew I was not on Antoinette's side, and I didn't talk to them too much, but like I'd still try to make it a point, at least clear the air somewhere along the line, you know?
Yeah.
So sad. Apparently after I left the game, maybe his social game wasn't as good, and maybe that's because he was relying on comps and felt like, okay, my social game was here. Because I do remember him like feeling like he wasn't putting in his alliance, like he wasn't contributing to the alliance, his alliances very much at the start, because he wasn't winning anything. And then he started winning, and then maybe that's when his social game took a hit, because he's like, oh fuck, I finally won something, and he could like relax a bit. I don't know. But overall, I think Zach is just a very smart dude. Like Taisha said, always thinking a step ahead, always playing scenarios. And there's so much to his game that I probably don't even know, because apparently he was in the line chat with Seamus and Slade as well. So like there's a lot to Zach's game that I feel like we really don't know.
I don't think we have it in line chat, but maybe we do.
Oh no, I took it as you did. Like when you said he had a final 3 with you, with the 3 of y'all, I figured that
He never
was just
officially
chat.
made a final. He made 2 final. He made an individual final 2 with each of us, but we didn't make a final 3.
Okay. So I misspoke, but I just do. Point still stands. Is I think there's still more to his game that we all don't know.
Yeah, going off of that, just because this question is focusing on like what Zach did well. Knowing Zach before this game, I had a very solid relationship with Zach before this game, which we didn't really talk about. We found each other through a mutual friend, whatever. We had never played a game together. And then we were like, wait, maybe one day we'll play a game together. Then it actually happened. But knowing him before this game, I know how much of a strategic player he is, and that's how he normally gets to the end of games, because I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this fact, but the only
You are.
games he's played, he's gotten to the end and either lost or won. So he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to be strategic. And like you said, like Sandy said, like making those relationships at the right time and talking to those people and getting a wide range of what is going on in the game. So he was very smart in that aspect of gaining information and being able to utilize that information and be in like everyone's corner, so to, or not, maybe not everyone's corner, because he didn't talk to a lot of people. But I assume the next question will be, what did they not do well? And I'll get into that. But I think, especially at the beginning of the game when I was working very closely with Zach, I think I had a similar relationship with him as I did with Sam, where we had a lot of like good, genuine conversations. And I honestly, to be fair, like we did know each other before the game, but I don't think it was because we knew each other before the game, because we had never really been even like on a call when we known each other. And when we went on calls in this game, the conversation was just kind of very natural. And he gave me that sense of like, I'm with you, which he clearly did with a lot of people. And I feel like that's what he did very well, because he knows somehow how to talk to people, like similar to Sam, knows how to talk to people. But I feel like what's different between him and Sam is where I believe what Slade said was where you could very easily see who Sam was working with. I feel like it was a little bit more muddled for Zach, and I think that's what he did well, where he seemed like the people he was talking to, it seemed like every person he was talking to was a final two with him. And I feel like that's where, like, I guess in the beginning of the game more so, his social game was a little better, but then also took a turn for me because then I had a similar situation with Marcelo. But again, I'll get into that after as well.
Okay, so moving on, tell me things that Sam did not do well in this game.
I feel like Sam did everything good, but and that's why I feel like Sam. I just need Sam to sell me on what she did amazing. But I feel like I don't feel like Sam did anything really bad. I just feel like Sam, like she checks the boxes, but I want her to like check a box. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think what she lacked on was I kind of agree with what Slade's saying, and I just feel like a lot of it was spotlight on Sandy. And then when Sandy left, like the next thing you would think of is like spotlight on Sam, but like it kind of felt like she just like went to the edge and like saw everything, but like didn't do much with it. Like maybe there was behind the scenes stuff that I didn't see or I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's the hazy part for me on what Sam didn't do well, but I'll respond to other people's.
This goes for me as well. So this is probably like I'm not coming from a place of this is a really bad Sam, because I'm super guilty of it. And we probably fed each other this type of stuff too that probably didn't help, but maybe a little bit Sam could have probably, and this could be my perception, but handling pressure just a little bit better, making decisions under pressure, because a lot of the times it was like muddled and train of thought like left, and I'm guilty of that as well. So the both of us together, it was like a shitstorm of craziness sometimes, of unclear thoughts and anxiety. So maybe I would just think she could have kept her cool, her composure a little better in some of those situations where we both went manic.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Obviously, I wasn't like towards like the further half of the game, like I wasn't as close with Sam, but in those aspects and just talking to her and like having conversations with her, you could really tell like when she was nervous. But that's why she would try and talk about it with you. But again, it was the fact that like you could tell she was nervous. Whereas like part of what I do on occasion is I try to act more anxious to make people know that, like, hey, I'm nervous, but I do that on purpose to see who's actually really with me and who's against me and who's actually willing to tell me things, even though I have my own information. But whereas Sam, I feel like it's kind of obvious she's nervous, and like I said, like she has those conversations when she needs to, when she feels there's certain people that she doesn't know her about, like where their relationship stands. And like especially in my case, like I feel like there were multiple parts in the game like she didn't understand like where we stood together, like just game wise. And when she would come to me, some of the things you could tell when she would talk and the way she would talk and the things she would say, you could tell that she was very nervous and she was definitely trying to save herself. And it was very obvious for a lot of different reasons, like on calls and in text, like if she was texting you more or like doing something or like more urgently wanted to get on a call. And I feel like something that, although she did have a very good social game, this is a different topic, but I feel like she did have a good social game. But where was I going with this thought? I think what happened with me was we were definitely still like, even though we weren't talking game, much more so like in the later game, we were still talking, which I thought like I still do appreciate that. But the fact was when she would ask to like get on calls and things like that, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm here, whatever. She like wouldn't respond for a long time. And then like I'd be like, oh, like whatever. Like she'd come back, be like, sorry, I was sleeping, whatever. But then I'd find out that she would be on other calls or things doing with other people. And I feel like she didn't really hide that well enough, at least in my case. I don't know if that resonates with other people, but that's just from my perspective.
I want to ask a question to Taisha.
Yes.
So, because I don't really know this part, but this could be something that links to Sam's, not the part. The last thing Sam said to me before she voted me out was, if it's you, like, I've been real with you this entire game, but like, this is the moment that I need to like worry about myself and like take a risk for myself. Did you know about our plan for the final four?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Okay. Like during like that whole vote, I really, like when you had messaged me and everything, I had got on call with Sam. Sam is very good about like making sure she knows where you're at when she's about to do something. So she was like, she called, she's like, I'll talk to Marcelo. We had talked everything out. I had told her everything, obviously, but she's like, me and Zach, all of us had always talked about the plan. We wanted us to be a final three. And obviously, like me logically thinking, I was like, okay, I could try to make a move right now, but I really wanted to like stay as loyal as possible and just try to get to the end. That's just what I want to do.
Queen
No, that's queen shit. I love that. But for Sam, it's like, for me, the disconnect was like, and it's a double-edged sword because it's great social game, telling me like what I want to hear, like leading me to believe, but it's also like, and I don't like.
It was a point in the game where they like powers weren't a necessity. I could understand if it was like you were going at 7 and there was still an opportunity for a power to be played, but you were going at 4. There was no opportunity for that.
Exactly.
And, like, I don't want. And it sucks because I do know how much Sam like appreciated your friendship, because like she was in our alliance, but I always felt that she had Marcelo in her corner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to hear in the 11th hour when it like didn't really matter, she was like selling you shit. I get it. Maybe she didn't want the vote to be flipped out on you. I mean, like flipped onto her, and it sounds like at that point in the game, they were still sort of uncertain how I left and stuff like that. So maybe there was a little more mistrust still there. So that maybe she was like, I need to tell him what he wants to hear so it doesn't flip on me. And who knows, maybe because like, I think she was skeptical of Zach at the time. Zach might be fucking me over.
Marcelo had our brains picking.
Because what I did was I know we're talking about what Sam didn't do well, but when at Final 8, when you went home, Sandy, I obviously stole Zach's vote and voted you out.
Yeah, phony.
Own it. Own it.
Own it, Marcelo.
You made the chat. You didn't make the chat, y'all. Sam did. Anyway, no, but like Sam and I had a call, the Final Four call, and we were like, if Zach doesn't win, Zach is gonna go home. And there's a part in the Final 8 live night, once you leave, where I'm like, thank you to those who voted to keep me. And Zach says, you're welcome.
Mhm.
And I immediately like clipped that and sent it to Sam. And I was like, look at this. And she's like, oh my God, Zach flipped. And I was like, yeah, Zach has been
Yes.
playing and trying to blame you and Taisha and trying to get you all to turn on each other.
I'm shocked that didn't work, honestly. I'm shocked
We were
that
on
didn't
call,
work.
and she was like, "Taisha, I'm gonna send you the link to the video." She's like, "Go to this timestamp," and I was like, "Okay." But like literally, even after that, we were still like, "We don't care. We're already
No, I
here.
know.
Zach, we
You're
have to go."
already-
But it was
you're
so
already-
good though, because she really was like, she's like, "I can't believe
Fair
Zach
enough.
would do that." She was like really confused about it the whole time.
Ugh.
But for me, it's like going back to what you were saying, Sandy, and what Slade you were kind of saying as well. It's like I had no power, like powers expired at 6. Like, and I don't like to use the word jury management because it's kind of just
But
like
no, that's a part of the game. It
no,
really
it is. It is. It is. Okay, then I can use the word. I never know what a jury thinks about the words jury
Yeah,
management.
it's
So
part
No,
of the
girl,
game.
we're the
Use it, bestie.
jury.
but it's
If you're not
it's like
thinking of
saying-
jury
Speak
management,
your
you're,
truth.
you're playing for second place.
Exactly.
Period.
Because Sam could have just been like, look, if I got like from BB12, like the brigade telling Brittany like she's going home, like if I heard that, like what was the point of giving me that false hope of like, we got this, Taisha and you
Well,
are gonna go to
that and,
fire.
like,
And
The
then
last conversation I had with Sam was her telling me, I'm a straight shooter. Like, tell me if you're gonna vote me. Like, this matters so much to me. And then cut to her doing this at a time where it really didn't even matter. It's just funny a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
because
think
here's the thing. You go, Tony.
Okay. Because I think like the case with me, like obviously like it wasn't like it was a live night, like whatever, like things were happening fast, but at the same time, like I had messaged both Sam and Zach. I knew they were voting for me, like regardless. I was like, hey, I would appreciate if you didn't, but I understand like if it's what you have to do. They both literally could have said to me, yeah, like sorry, like I'm voting you out, because I knew it was happening regardless. Like I knew they were both writing my name down because other people had told me. So I was like, great, whatever. But the fact that neither of them did, and it was like I don't have any powers. Like I don't know what you expect from me. But it was just like I was like,
I'm leaving anyway. Give me the decency.
And I'm gonna
like,
be
yeah,
a jury,
because
like,
that's
don't
what
let me
I
leave
did
this.
with most people in this game. That's what I did. And I said that to both of them at some point in this game. I'm like, I want to play, like, especially when people are going home, like I want to play that honest game if that's what that's what I want to do, because it's gone weird for me in other games and whatever, but that's not the point. But with both Sam and Zach, like it was same scenario. I basically said almost the exact same statement to both of them, and neither of them were honest with me. And I was just like, cool. Like I know you're voting for me anyway. Like just say it. Like it doesn't
Like,
matter.
for
Like it matter. I
what?
mean, like matters to me. But like
what doesn't? Sam's a smart person. If I was in the final, if I was one of the people in the Final Four, like if I was Zach or Taisha, my thing would have been Marcelo has to go because this whole fucking alliance is on the jury, or at least everybody who worked with him at the jury phase. That would have, so like, and it doesn't take like a rocket scientist to like see that dynamic, right? So that this works against her because again, I could understand if it was 6, 7, 8, 9, where she sold Marcelo shit, right? And we all know I don't like being sold shit, so this does work against her. She could have just been straight up and been like, Marcelo, I love you. We are the main characters. We haven't been on the same side all game, but we definitely not targeted each other and made sure that we could get to this point, even being on opposite sides. But you're gonna win if I let you go any further.
And I would have respected it 100%. Now I respect
because
it
I can't see her
75%.
not. I honestly can't see her actually entertaining keeping you, Marcelo. To me, but from a game point standpoint, that kind of goes against everything that I've learned of Sam.
Yeah.
You know, So
No, I get it, because
I had a conversation with her, like obviously, like right before. I was kind of busy that day, but I literally told her, was that yesterday?
yeah.
yeah.
It feels like 3 weeks ago, but it was fully yesterday. Right? Girl.
I literally had a conversation with her yesterday, and we talked about it, and I was like, I just don't think there's any point like entertaining an idea. And I told her, I was like, I'd rather just tell him how I'm voting beforehand, so we're not just talking a bunch of nonsense about something that is not about to happen. And she said she had to go do some things for another game and that she was going to talk to you, but I don't know if
She did
That
it.
never happened. Wow, that is some baloney.
It didn't. The thing is, it didn't happen until the moments where Papa was writing the votes and tallying the
Yeah.
votes, and then she.
I got
messaged
a
me.
lot of those. You know,
Yeah.
the right before something happens, people fill you
Yeah,
in.
Marcelo,
You know that's a little
Marcelo were on
phony.
call with Jeremy with the
Yeah.
whole Jeremy thing, and he said she was typing
Yeah.
like as it was like happening.
Like
like
Oh,
right
she
before.
was typing to Jeremy.
no, typing to
No,
me.
to Marcelo. I was on call with Marcelo. I remember that. That's funny.
Yeah,
When
what
Jeremy
I like,
went, that's funny.
'cause what I liked about you, Taisha, and what you did was you were always a straight shooter. And if you didn't tell me, if you were gonna do something that was gonna like voting me out or like voting me something, like you didn't talk to me, which like in the sense of like you weren't like trying to bullshit me. Like I knew where you stood, even if you didn't say anything. Like I knew when when you sent me that voice memo being like, maybe we should do Sam, or like I'm actually thinking about that. I was like, oh my god, like it was just one of those things where you entertained the idea, but then you didn't talk to me, and I was like, okay, I know Taisha's voting for me. I just need Sam to vote Taisha, and then I can at least do that. So
Would you have really done Sam? Like if we like would have talked about it, would you have done her?
I would have done it.
Literally, that's crazy.
I would have done it. I would have went to fire.
My heartstrings were just like Taisha. Like I talked to Sam and she's looking at me, she's talking to me. I'm like, she's like, Taisha, we've gone this far. I'm just like, yeah.
Okay. If you watch my like final four confessional after this, I'm like, I have Delaney, I have Antoinette, and I have Seamus's vote. Like, I'm pretty sure if I get to the end with like Zach, I have
Zach
Slade's vote.
was like, what's up?
Yeah. Taisha, I do have a question that plays off of this whole situation with Marcelo.
Mm-hmm.
Did Sam let you know like if she won that you were going home, or did she say like if she won that she was gonna take you?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously I had a final two with both Zach and Sam. I mean, we all positively all have final two with each other, but logically for Sam's game, I think it looks better to take Zach. Like,
yeah.
No offense, but they were killing the comp. I was in the background. Anyway, it makes more sense to take Zach. It looks better for her to take Zach over like, I'm not saying I'm an easy option, but it looks better to take an easy option. Just saying. So I kind of like already knew. I think Zach didn't care. Zach would have took me. Zach would have took the easy option. Zach basically said he would have.
What do you mean the easy option?
You were going to win. You had my vote force. You were going to win, Taisha.
Taisha, my jury question for you was: close your eyes, open them. You got my vote. Like a
little. Congratulations! It's like, girl, you were going to win the game.
You were,
you were going to win.
But like,
I really do against either of them.
Like in the game though. It's more so like where they could see themselves beating. Like Zach was always like, Sam is so good. Like, he was always scared. Like he at one point wanted to do Sam, wanted to like get her out. Yeah. So I think
both y'all did. I think if I was still in the game, Sam probably would have gotten got.
Yeah, and it all comes down like when they get to the end, they're thinking about jury, like 100%. So.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see if she told you the same thing or if she was straight up with you, just to see how it differed from 24 hours before, if she did the same thing that she did with Marcelo. So
I probably have messages from her. I didn't like open today. We talked earlier. I mean, yesterday during the comp, she sent me like a whole presentation of like history and everything. And I was like, oh, good for you, Sam. I'm not this organized. She was like, you got this comp. I mean, neither of us won. So
she fully was like, I'm going to share my notes with you. And I was like, great. And then,
I was like, these notes are too complex for me. Thank you, though. I'll just look at my calendar. But Zach, I don't know. They're both good. Like Zach was really smart. He is not sharing his notes like Sam. Sam was willing to share her notes because she had people that she felt like would take her in the end. But she never told me. No.
Okay. So we've been on this question for a while, so I'm gonna ease us into the next question, which is tell me things that Zach did not do well this game.
Zach sucked at picking his first set of teams. I think in the shock of actually winning a challenge 11 rounds in, and just, put him off kilter.
Completely. That's what I'm gonna ask you as my question for Zach. Zach, what was your thoughts on your team picking that round when we had a whole conversation that Antoinette had a power? And I literally said she probably had a pendant. I was like, I literally told him that. So I was like, bitch, what
See,
is
that's why
this?
it's fishy. That's why it's fishy, Slade, because you told him he had a pendant. It was always assumed that she had something. He knew I had an idol. Part of me,
So
I want to
maybe he
know.
only thought the only idol was yours, but that is a dumb assumption.
No.
Like if you really thought, so I don't
No,
want to put that as
but he
words
said
in
it.
his mouth.
He said it yesterday in one of the lives. One of the questions was like, "What shocked you the most?" And he said the fact that he didn't get a power, and it took powers forever to be played because he got to the top 10 and he looked at the wiki and was like, "Wow, all these other seasons have all these powers. Where are the powers?" So I don't think Zach's dumb enough to not have that at least pass his mind when he wins Trendsetter. So I want to know. I want to know: was that a setup or what was he thinking, or was it really just a bad game move?
Yeah, because especially that round, I was like, they put Sandy on this team. I was like, Sandy's gonna have something.
Oh my God.
I was like, there's no way.
I remember literally Zach picked the teams and I immediately messaged Antoinette and I'm like, oh my God, does Zach want Sandy to go? This is great for us.
Bitch.
Sandy
No,
is
I was
going.
like, no, this makes no sense.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God. And
Sandy
then
has to have
Seamus is like,
something.
should we throw? It's like, no.
And then Antoinette was
We
And then
got
he
that
totally
right.
did. He totally threw. And
Yeah,
he
we won
admitted it to
that.
me.
It's like that. And then Internet was like, no, Sandy has a power. This is dangerous.
I had a suspicion for a long ass time, which you clearly did with me as well, which fair work.
Really good.
But literally, I was like, why? I was like, why would he put Sandy on a team
That was so
if
crazy.
he doesn't have a power?
I was trying to
I'm like,
brush
this
it
makes
off
no
because it was live, right? So I really couldn't
Yeah.
vent and be like, what the fuck? I was like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I know what it's like to win Trendsetter and have to pick people on the spot. But I was actually kind of livid. And he was apologetic afterward because the idol got exposed and we didn't want to use it that early. But what the fuck?
He was so
What
nervous when he did
Thank
that.
you.
He was like,
Thank
he
you
was
for
so
using that
nervous.
idol early, babe.
You're welcome.
It really
You're
helped
welcome.
me. It really helped my
You are welcome.
I don't want it to save mine.
That was horrible.
But
Yeah. I'm
another
trying to think. What else was Zach not good at other than that one bonehead move? Obviously, we mentioned it sort of in a
His social
positive
game was
area
kind of a flop.
was his social game. Why do you think that is? That his social game lacked? In my opinion, it lacked towards the end, obviously because of what you guys are saying. But with me, it's always been good. But do you guys think it changed throughout? Did it start strong or was it always shitty in terms of
I think
you?
I think your point in it was good with me was that because he was working with you. If you weren't working with Zach, you
So it's
never
us
heard
versus them.
Jack-ish about it. You never heard anything from Zach. He would always, him and I, the only time we talked, the only time we got on a call was the live night that Aaron, Alex, and Shannon went home because he was like, I want to do Aaron, which was round 2. And then when the Jester, the Nick and Jester live night happened, we I think we called or something. We might not even have called, but we talked. And when I tell you, and this is what's hard for me when I'm looking at a final 2 of Sam and Zach is I talk to Sam every day. Sam sent me voice memos saying good morning, would love to get on a call, this, that, and the other. Zach, I can count on both hands the amount of times Zach even messaged me. Even in Final 5, when it was between me and Seamus, I was like, hey, would love to keep our rivalry in the Final 4. And all he gave me was yeah, I'm already doing that. I'm like, great. But Zach and I, like,
Did he really do that?
oh, he
my
did. He sent me
God.
one message. He said, yeah, I'm doing that. And I was like, I'm just, I just can't get behind the fact that, like,
See, like a part of me wants to just like throw in a flip side of the coin, but even so, like this is grasping at straws. Is like
Yeah.
a lot of Zach's information of where you stood came through the grapevine from Sam. So knowing where your head was at, he didn't have to have those conversations, but
Yeah.
still, those conversations need to happen. I had
But, like,
conversations with people that I wasn't working with.
yeah, Sandy, like, you and I had, like, after you called me a phony and told me to own it, you literally were like, you messaged me the reason why you did it. We had a conversation, we cleared the air, and then we knew that we weren't going to talk game because we weren't on the same, but like,
But there was always that communication there, like afterward, if you like, sort of with Antoinette, it's like, Antoinette, if we both like survive this next live night, the communication needs to be there because there's going to come a point in the game where we might need each other.
And I wanted it to be, and then we both
Yeah.
got fun.
I know, and that door was open for you as well, Marcelo. And
and that door was open.
That's
for you
unfortunate
as well.
that Zach didn't leave that feeling that people he wasn't with could come and have that open door policy.
And when he was upset that, like, I voted him when it was him and Jackson, I knew Jackson was going home.
Oh, this brings a good point. Finish that thought, but I have a good point based off of him getting votes.
I knew Jackson was going home. Like, Slade told me, Seamus told me, like, literally everyone told me that Jackson was going home. But Jackson and I talked, and Jackson was like, because the whole plan was to steal someone's vote and vote Zach out, but we wanted to save that for live night. The next live night. But I voted Zach because A, Jackson wanted to vote Zach, and B, there was no one else that had a reason to vote. And then he wins Trendsetter, and he's like, thank God, because I got 2 votes. And it's like, it was me and Jackson. Like, it doesn't take like a rocket scientist to know that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just like closed the door, like locked it. I was trying to knock, and he
So a negative to Zach is he took a little bit too much of offense when he got votes, and he didn't get very many, but I do remember like the wedge it put between you and him when you voted. And I remember he was so anti-Delaney because Delaney threw a vote on him, and that was always all that for me working with Zach, that it was always something difficult to mitigate was how he felt about people who voted for him, because I couldn't rely on him to go and talk to you and get information. It was always Sam. I couldn't rely on him to go and talk to Delaney because he was pissed about it, so I had to rely on Taisha. And you know what I mean? So yeah, Zach needs to not be so butthurt about getting votes, because if you're in the game, and that doesn't really fucking matter, especially when past votes
he
don't.
also knew that he wasn't going home. Like,
right. I remember when he got into the argument, like, well, when he found out Delaney didn't like him, and I was like, Zach, I'm gonna talk to Delaney, just chill out a little bit. This boy goes to Delaney and gets in a whole argument with her, and I'm like, did I not just tell you she does not like you? Can you not talk to her?
And that pissed me off too, because I'm like, Zach, you need to not like make her feel like some type of way. I need her to vote. They're voting me, not you. Stop the shit.
He got
that's
very
also
offended.
one of the reasons. Yeah,
he got very offended very easily, and would either explode on someone if he was mad at them or not talk to them at all, and there was literally no in between. Going back to like the social game and whatnot, with the fact that like you said, like Sandy, like you said, your relationship with him was good with the whole game, obviously, whereas like Marcelo, like we didn't talk to him at all. I feel like I was somewhere in the middle with that, because we were very close in the beginning of this game. And I think with that, because like we talked a lot of game, and we also talked a lot of just like about life and like shit like that, and they were always like good conversations. But then very quickly, even after I was honest with him, and again I was trying to be honest with everyone as much as I could have, but after I was honest, it very clearly just either all of communication or almost all of it just completely stopped. And I didn't take that well, especially because like I knew him before this game, and I had like a little bit of a prior relationship with him, and I enjoyed, which is why like I very much enjoyed my conversations with him and things like that. So the fact that like almost all of our conversation stopped after I was trying to move forward and continue on in this game, I really did not appreciate it. And like, don't get me wrong, like I love Zach as a person, but the way he treated people he wasn't working with in this game, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I did not like, I just didn't appreciate it, especially because like we talked like a little bit, and then like what we would talk about was literally not at all game related, which like that's fine, but it was nowhere near at all anything like any of the other conversations we had like for the first half of this game. And it's really like what upset me with him specifically, and especially the fact that, like I mentioned before, he basically made a final, or at least tried to make a final two with everyone, and had a good portion of his social game good in the beginning of the game because he was involved in so many alliances and things like that, but it quickly dropped off. And again, it could be like because like he's like started winning challenges and like he felt comfortable, like that could be the reasoning as well. But I know coming into this game, he said that the game he got to the end to but lost, the other person had a much better social game. And the fact was because they were constantly reaching out to people and apparently like saying like even just like normal like hey good morning texts and like just checking in on people. He thought that the jury wouldn't respect that. Where he in that game he was clearly wrong, because he's like that's the reason that I don't know if that was the only reason, but that's the reason that we talked about. And I feel like here might be a similar situation because there are people that he did not consistently talk to throughout this entire game. And like like me personally, again, I don't speak for everyone, but I respect people who at least have conversation with me, especially if we've had a good relationship and I'm at least trying to do my best to continue that relationship. I respect people who will reciprocate that energy, and I was just not getting that.
So it sounds like Zach's really lucky with some of his late game challenge wins because Marcelo was still in the game, didn't talk to Marcelo, had an issue. Marcelo voted him. Delaney was still in the game. Delaney voted him. They didn't have a good relationship. So it sounds like Zach should be counting his lucky stars with those wins, because it doesn't sound like his social game towards the end was going to keep him around.
Another thing with that, and like what shocked me a little bit, I mean, it was a smart game move, but like during the can challenge, when like the shoulder can challenge, like you hear him say to Seamus on stream, like live, where everyone can see, if you drop, I will give you co-captain. You literally hear that, and like great game move that he didn't, because that would have been a whole ass mess. It's like fully, like he would give it to Seamus, and Taisha and Sam would have went to fire. Like it was a really good move for him, or Rocks, whatever. But or Delaney and Taisha would have went to Rocks, which sad. But the thing was like Zach said that, and the entire day he was just like, Seamus was checking in with him, being like, is this happening? Like, you're good, like with that, right?
Honestly, that's a boss move.
No, it is. Oh, it's a boss move. It was iconic to watch. But like the fact that another thing that I don't, maybe this is from my perspective, because also like Taisha and Sandy, you worked with him, but like for me, it was like, he would just, when he like was like, I'm giving my word is bond, and like breaks his word, boss move. Like love the moment.
Maybe they were considering it like Sam and Zach when they're selling people shit. From my perspective, and I'm from like when I got voted out, obviously I thought one of them, Taisha, Sam, or Zach, backstabbed me, right? Then Antoinette came in and said a vote steal was used. I didn't know until you revealed it that it was you, Marcelo, right? So I was glad when I found out. I was like, oh, my three boos made it. So like, either they were selling everybody's shit type of thing, like, oh, final two, or Seamus, I got your back. Like, I'm gonna give you trendsetter. Sort of the same with Sam. I was like, oh, Marcelo, I'm gonna keep you, blah, blah, blah. But like deep down inside, I kind of always knew that what was created between Sam, Zach, and Taisha, especially with how the jury phase was going, I just deep down inside, I knew that they were gonna stick together. So the fact that like Zach did that to Sheamus. Good game move socially. If I were Sheamus, I'd be pissed, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
like,
what
I just,
the necessity. I don't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, he
see
did
it.
not want to do it. Like, he was conflicted because he was like, I want to keep my word. But the whole day he was like, I just can't do it though. It's not smart. Like, he was like, it's not smart. He's gonna try something. He was like, why would I want to keep him? But like the whole day, like all the way up until it actually happened, he's like, you know what? I don't care. He's like, I'm saving you. And I was like, okay, go ahead, do that. Thank you.
yeah, no, exactly. But like he said it and then he like threw it away, which it was for me, I was like, socially, the move made sense because he should have done it. But like the thing about it was like, if you weren't with Zach, you weren't with Zach. Like if you weren't with Zach, you didn't get that opportunity to be a part of like his game.
What exactly happened? Was in the challenge the deal thing? Can just give
So
me a brief rundown?
Zach said to Sheamus, "If you drop, I will give you co-captain." And Sheamus was like, "Okay, yeah, like get," and kept
So there was
saying
like a
it,
deal
kept
made,
repeating
and
it.
then Sheamus
Yeah, he
dropped.
said he was safe. It was at the very end of the stream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
okay.
every
And
30
then-
minutes, every 30
Yeah.
minutes, he would tell Sheamus, hey, the deal still stands. The deal still stands. So
Yeah.
every 30 minutes, he would keep asking. And at the 30-minute mark for the last time, he said the deal still stands. And Sheamus said, it still stands? Okay. And then let go.
And
Savage.
then immediately goes,
Savage.
"I'm giving." It's an episode title. He's like, I keep my word, but not this time." And he said, "I'm giving it to Taisha." And I was like, great, but then that socially pisses off Sheamus, and then it's just, I don't know. Words have power in this game because like we're talking to each other, we're giving like, so one wrong move, one wrong sentence, one wrong word can like change an entire thing. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna combine the last question
Says
because
y'all are
obviously,
talking too much.
yeah, y'all are talking a lot. Like we're already almost at an hour.
We're passionate.
We're real. I love
Um,
this.
So what does each person need to do in their finale to get you to vote for them?
Who wants to start?
I mean, for me personally, I guess since I like feel like I was really close to both of them, it's hard because I see both of their games like straight up. And I
Right?
think
It's
they
so
both played
hard.
so great. But I just need them to like do a deep dive and tell me exactly like what their whole like, because it's their perspective. I want to see their perspective on their game. And maybe once they tell me their perspective on their game, I can see it differently. Because I'm only seeing what I felt and I've seen with my own eyes. Let me see what their perspective, maybe they had a different way of viewing it. I'm just kind of torn between both of them because they played good games, both of them.
Yeah. I feel like I have less to figure out maybe than some of the other people that like didn't work as closely with him. I'm gonna be really self-centered in mine. I just want to know which one to prove to me which one of my closest allies was more loyal. Show me you were loyal to me, you get my vote.
And I feel like just with the jury in general, this is your opportunity to be self-centered. Like they voted you out, like maybe directly or indirectly, but that's the whole ironic thing about these games that you're gone, they voted you out, and then now you have to vote for them and they need to beg for your vote basically. For me specifically, like yeah, both of them wrote my name down, work. I don't care, it's a game. For me, what I think both of them have to do, because honestly right now I think both of them need to fight for my vote, just because more specifically in my later game I didn't have as much of a connection with them as I did in the earlier game. So I know like specifically I think with my game in relation to theirs it's a weird dynamic because like I know how they play at least in the beginning of this like in the beginning of this game, and like the strategy side of it, having been on multiple calls with both of them, talking game and seeing how they think and what's going on in their head, to the sort of the transition of when I was getting targeted later in the game, where I got less of that conversation. Sandy's smiling. Where I got sort of targeted later in the game, where I talked a lot less game with both of them. And I think for me specifically, I need to figure out kind of like what Taisha said, like from their perspective, like what their game was, because like, yeah, we all see it from our perspective and like how it affected us personally. And like, I personally, they need to answer questions about how my game worked with theirs, because I don't feel like towards the end of the game, I got much from either of them. And I forgot specifically what I wanted to say. This is what happens with my brain. But I think with that, they need, for specific moves and for specific reasons of why they did things, that's what I need to hear from them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think like specifically like for specific things that they did, it needs to be like in relation to me, because I need to understand why they deserve my vote, because in my case, they both wrote down my name.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a spot where I just want to know who had more agency over the game. I want to know who influenced it more. I want to know who, like, Zach, okay, you had these immunities. What'd you do with it? Saying you didn't have these immunities, how'd you navigate it? I want to know their angle and everything. I want to know why they did what they did, because, you know, some games can look shiny and then it's like, hold on, you were just kind of making it up as you go. And then, like, Zach, I think, I would say I'm pretty even, maybe 55, 45. Zach just needs, I need to understand Zach's decisions more, and I want Sam to show me where she had real agency and control over the game.
For me, I think I'm not going to say my vote is locked because it's not. I want to give Zach a chance, but obviously I'm like 80-20 right now with Sam leading. But like my yes, my thing is like I want to know why what moves Sam did that she can own as herself while not clinging to a Zach or a Sandy or a Taisha, like that type of thing. And I just need Zach to tell me his game because he never talked to me about it. So I don't know his game. I think my entire question to Zach is just gonna be like, why should I vote for you? Like, what did you do in this game that's gonna impress me? Because I know Sam's game, or I know of Sam's game. I don't know the whole scope of it, but I know probably more than 50% of her game. There's still a bunch of questions I want to ask, but it's what they're going to have to do to get my vote is they're going to shout out to main characters only, but they're going to have to be the star of the show. For me to give them their vote, they're going to have to be the star of their show, because I'm not trying, like, don't, like,
Sam
obviously
needs to prove why she was added to your chat, and Zach needs to prove why he wasn't.
Exactly. Added to my chat. Exactly.
It
was my chat, honestly. Sam was the one who created it, but I'll own it. But yeah, I just need to know, like, why are they the main character of their story?
Anyone else? All right. Well, that is all the questions for this jury roundtable. You all have one final thing to do tomorrow night, and that is vote for a winner. Not that dropping. Okay.